Hello, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We've still got people joining, just probably finishing their previous meeting, and they'll join us. Relatively quiet this time because, of course, this is holiday season. So I've got some customers I can see from European sites. I hope you had a nice holiday. Others who've been on holiday, who are going on holiday, I'm looking forward to that before September. I'll be here soon for you. Today, we're going to look at myday and some 10 useful tips and tricks using myday. I've done one of these back in April, but Sarah has said she would go and show everybody her top 10 things that she does on myday. So hopefully there's a number, I hope, of tips here that you're going to be able to write down, take away, and start using yourself after the webinar. There's more people coming in. We'll start very soon. As always, we will record this and we'll post this on our YouTube directory, so you'll be able to, watch it through again, pause, rewind, etc. There is plans for the Customer Success Hub and the forum where these will also appear on there once that's come together. So more information on that in due course. Okay. So welcome everybody. This is Top 10 and 10, this time with Sarah. Sarah, most of you met Sarah, she's our implementation specialist, so runs onboarding with new customers and also engaged in projects with existing customers. Let's take it away, Sarah, and see what fascinating tips we've got for our customers today.
Okay.
And as always, ask questions in the chat and I will man the question and answer. We'll do a proper Q&A at the end, but as we go through, if you've got any sort of questions as we're going through the context of some of those things Sarah's showing, type them away. If there is something that I feel the rest of the group will benefit from, I'll take that to the end if you don't mind, and then I will give the answers in front of everybody. But I will hand you over to Sarah now.
Thanks, Phil. Hi, guys. This will be quite fast, obviously, because I'm trying to fit it into 10 minutes. It'll probably roll over because I waffle on too much. But I will be sending off, like we did last time with Phil's, we'll send like a document off, hopefully with the video that will go into a bit more detail about all these tips, because I will rattle through them quite quickly. So let's make a start. Share my screen. So we go. Right, you ready, Phil? Right, I'm gonna go. Right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, okay, so first tip.
Let's do it.
First tip. So you have, if this is for people who have sync server, let's say you've got a new timetable for the coming year and you want to check if that data is properly synced into myday and that your new students are going to get the calendar entries. It's good if you have an example user that you want to use. So basically you will go into your control panel, which I may have opened earlier. If you go into your data synchronization, go into your sync server and you pick the table. So for example, I'm going to look at timetable. If you click on browse, it'll take you to that table, press display, and it will show you all the entries. If you do have a particular user in mind that you know is a brand new user to the university or college, I could use this for an example. Just take that user and you can place them into this empty box here and then display that, and it will show you the first 100, or you can go into 1,000 users, and it will just make sure that that student has details for their coming academic year. So that's quite a good tip. The next thing is to do with map locations. The map app by default has a default area. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Apologies. And what I want to do is we're going a new dashboard. And what we're going to do is they have a different location for their campus, obviously. So this is the business school, and I want that map to point at. Why does this keep coming up? Excuse me. To get out of the way. Right, this map, I want this map to point at a different location to the default one that's on the main campus, which is this map here. So to do that, if I get into my map, if I loads, I actually, these are lucky students because they actually have their lessons in the Cavern Club in Liverpool. So we've set up a location for this, and each location has a URL. So what we need to do is just copy the part after the .cloud, the forwards, including the /. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a static tile this time rather than using the maps tile. I'm going to use a static tile, and I'm going to point that tile at that map location as a link instead. And what this does, it just creates a direct link to that area. So if I then save and publish, if they use the maps for the business school, which is a different location, they go to their maps, that is the area that they're in. So that's just a quick way of not having to use the maps tile all the time. You can use a static tile and point it to whatever location you have already. The next thing is to do with support for students, because obviously we're coming up to the new year. If you've got a student that's changed a password but then has struggles to get into Office 365 for whatever reason, remember Office 365 uses tokens, which sort of binds their username and password into a token that myday uses. What you can do is you can guide the student to go into their into their services, and you'll see their Office 365 mail token there. If you ask them to disconnect it and revoke their token, when they go back in, it'll ask them that it's unauthorized. If they just quickly click that again and ask them to pick the account, which would be the default user they've logged in as, in this instance, they will be reconnected and there will be a new token for their mail. So that's a quick way of releasing a student and getting them to have a fresh Office 365 install. The other thing you can do is if you're an admin and you want to completely delete the session of a student on their behalf, say they've got a problem with their desktop or mobile, you can find the user in the user manager. Here's our user. If you scroll down, you will see the sessions they currently have live. So these are the 2 sessions this user currently has, and you can manually terminate those sessions. So that again is just a bit of pointer for you for support moving forward into the new year. So that was up to 4. So number 5, this is quite a cool one actually. I only discovered this recently. Let's say you have some banners for your students and you've created a brand new marketing campaign around induction or around the rules to COVID, but every time the student logs in, if I come back to prospect student, it's always this first one that appears, and you scroll through and you might have multiple banners, but you want this new one to appear right at the front, and it's quite easy to do. What you do is if you go to your banner app, into administration, you choose the dashboard. So on here we've got prospect student. All you literally do is just click and drag it in the front, and that's it. So if you have multiple, you can move one right down to the bottom, move it in the front, and this is the order that the banners will appear. So if I now go back into prospect student, that banner will appear. So that's quite a nice thing. If you do have multiple banners and you're worried that the student will move away from the screen before they see your message, that's the way to make it pop up first. The next thing is to do with translation. So anyone that's new to myday or has forgotten about the feedback section, we do have a feedback mechanism within myday. But what we found is a lot of the customers are saying, well, I don't want it to say myday because we branded myday to reflect our branding within the university. So you can change the wording here, and how you do that is if we go down to advanced and translations. In here you will see all the areas you can translate any of the system messages or the messages that appear within myday or the wordings. These are all the ones that are available to you. There's quite a few, so what you can do is use your filter, and I'm going to look for anything to do with feedback. And can you see here, this is the feedback. Well, I've changed this a few times, so that's why it's already in there. But what you can do is you can just delete this and put thanks for your feedback. And then save that change. And then if you go back into your desktop and just refresh once, just to make sure it takes, if you then go to send feedback, there you go, you've changed that. So there is a way of sort of changing some of the wording that appears within myday, and that's all within the feedback function. So that's that tick. And the next really interesting one that saved people a lot of time recently is the feature of being able to copy tiles. So let's say we have a new dashboard. We have a new campus, we have a new dashboard, but what you want to do is continue the look and feel, and you want to reproduce a dashboard that's almost identical to one that's already there, but there's a couple of tiles you want different. So what you do is you edit your layout, you go to add a tile, but instead of picking one of the tiles already existing, you go to copy tiles here. And what you can do, you choose the dashboard that you want to take the tiles from. So enrolled student, let's say we want all of this section here. You literally just click them all, select them. So 1, 2, do that one, do that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And that's it. That's all you do. You can select copy tiles. And then you can choose at this point whether you want to change the design and change the picture or the color if you wanted to. If you want to leave them as default, which I'm going to do in the interest of time, just click add for each one just to make sure they're definitely the ones you want. And what it's also done is it's put all of these tiles in the same position as the other dashboards. So there we go. There's a brand new dashboard, got all the live tiles still there, everything's copied across, and then you can go ahead and add the extra tiles at the bottom that are relevant to that campus. So that's how you copy tiles over. The other thing to bear in mind also is at the moment when we've got lots of important messages that might go out about COVID, return to campus and things like that, we did have some customers that wanted to have 2 separate news feeds, one that was about news and one was about important messages, so those important messages don't get lost. So just to go over this in case people aren't aware, you can actually have 2 newsroom tiles and get them to point at different things. So we have a campus alerts tile in here, which shows obviously just campus alerts, and there's a news tile as well. And the way that you make it do this is you put your 2 newsroom tiles on, and then you go into each of the settings for each of the tiles. Go to settings here, and can you see here you've got something called feed, and then you would just click which feed you want to appear in that tile. So I'll save that one, and then this one in my settings I've got campus alerts. I've only picked campus alerts, and then you save that and save and publish, and then you can say, you know, you've got it standing out as 2 separate news feeds, so those important alerts don't get lost. The other thing that we've had someone ask about is to do with subscriptions to Newsroom. This is relative to it really. If I drop this into mobile view, when you click on, actually if I do this first, if you drop into here, into the Newsroom, as a student you will be able to go into manage subscriptions up here and see what you've subscribed to and what you haven't subscribed to. It's a bit harder to find this when you're in a mobile view, so I'll show you a way of getting around that. If we go drop into F12, let's do it a different way actually. If I come in and drop it into here, what I've done is I've created a link called New Subscriptions. So the students, when they're on a mobile, just need to click on the burger menu and go into the New Subscriptions. This will take them in directly into the subscription section, so they can get easy access to it without having to try and get into the top little corner where it's got the newspaper to get into it. And the way that I've done that is we've just created a link in the link section called New Subscription. If I edit in that, actually I'll come up and big size. And then you just say New Subscription, and you take the internal address, like the relative link before, everything after cloud. Once you're in that subscription, take that URL, put it in as on the side menu, and you will get a quick navigation into that area. So that's something someone asked that I thought I'd share with you. Coming back into links, you see we've got the navigation bar appearing here. This is a new feature. I don't know how many of you have got it, but it's a really cool feature. This is for it's primarily for iPads and iPhones. There's no back button within iPads and iPhones. So if you notice, I dropped it into mobile view. You get these icons that appear at the bottom. So these like quick links back to certain areas. So if a student is somewhere in myday, let's say we're in pre-enrollment here, but the student needs to get home and they're on a phone, they just click on home and it will always take them back to the home page. They can always get to their timetable without having to try and close a window, open a window, keep going back to the burger menu. There's a quick way of getting to them, and that is in the navigation bar. So again, you just use the links menu and you select navigation bar. There is a minimum, I think, of 4 before it will kick in, but you can have, I think it's up between 4 and 6, and it fits quite nicely within the footer. And that is my top 10. I think I have no idea if that was a 10. I've probably gone over, but hopefully, Phil, I've gone over everything in okay detail.
I think it was only a minute over, so pretty good with all that stuff.
For brief now.
For me, copy tiles, brilliant. That could be a game changer. That I've worked with quite a lot of customers who have took advantage of having multiple dashboards rather than just one dashboard with lots of different tiles, they found it easier to manage multiple dashboards with tiles specific for the audience to the dashboard. And you found that you're frequently needing to just copy some of the regular tiles that every member of the audience, of your different audiences, will need to use. And up till then, you've had to copy the graphic, copy the size, the position, the settings for the tile. But I can see, using your method there, Sarah, you could literally just bring it across. It even dumps it in the same place to keep consistency of another dashboard, so you could keep up with brand and the consistency that you planned. And I guess that you've got your small and medium form factors that you could also go in there, and those copied tiles will appear there, and you just move them tiles where you want them to be. Yeah, that's really good. I like that one.
Something to bear in mind when you are copying tiles over, though, is if your tile is right at the bottom down here somewhere that you want to copy, it will actually get copied by default into the bottom right hand corner, because I heard people say it's not there, and it's just because they need to scroll down, then move it up to the other position, the new position they want it to be in. So that's something to bear in mind. If it appears under a scroll, it will appear in the bottom right hand corner in the new dashboard you copy it to, because it's literally doing a physical copy. Something to bear in mind.
Yeah, that's really good. There was no questions coming through during your presentation, so often that is good. But what I did comment in the chat, I don't know if all customers have seen it, it was just a bit of clarification about the search button to use when you're in translations. So can you see in Sarah's screen there, we actually have got both of those search buttons. We've got the magnifying glass, which all customers will have seen on V3. But if you're on the early adopters program for new search, that magnifying glass actually takes you to the new search, which is this one. We've done a webinar on this before. And therefore you'll need to use what looks like a funnel button to do the search for the tiles on a dashboard. So we're actually giving away another tip here. If you just search for tasks, maybe, Sarah, or whatever you like. So that's now shown only the grades tile amongst all the others, or tasks tile. All customers have had that functionality. You did click the magnifying glass for that. But if you're using the new search, you click on that funnel icon, and it's indeed the same funnel icon that you click on to pinpoint and find that translation in translations. So that's the thing I wanted to highlight there. No questions so far on that. No. Sarah, some customers I've spoke to, they've not always known what we mean about turn on or enable a feature. So I think you mentioned that the new navigation bar running across the bottom, which is great for mobile devices, which I've double checked as well, and I think it's a minimum of 3 you can have at the bottom.
3, okay.
And I think the maximum is 5. But as an administrator, you can audience target those buttons. So just as another one here, I had a customer who wanted a home button for all their different dashboards or all the different audiences. So that button, or the relative link that you're going to put in the home, will be different for every audience that you want to target. There isn't a drop down here that lets you choose more than one audience to target for a given link. But what you can do is you could have multiple home buttons. So, and as an administrator, you will see multiple home buttons here. But if you audience target that home button at the particular audience, the user logging in on their mobile, because that user will only be a member of one of the audiences you choose here, they will only see one of those home buttons. So still, you may have more than 5 on this list, but the way you will set up your audience targeting, the maximum of 5 or the minimum of 3 can still be hit. I hope that makes sense. It's difficult to try and describe.
So you could have a home button that goes to staff dashboard for one and a student dashboard for the other. That's the sort of thing you mean, isn't it? It's the same home button, but the audience targeting will be different and the URL.
Yeah, so you will see, if you log in as a member of staff, you click on the same looking button as the student sat next to you on the phone, but it will take them to the correct dashboard because you will audience target that appropriately.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And it's not just the home button. I mean, you could do that with the other ones. So we're having with the courses one you've got there, which takes you to the courses tile, which might be your VLE, Blackboard, Brightspace, Moodle. Maybe that isn't really relevant to staff. So you would audience target that at students only, and maybe put in a different button that would take staff off to a staff dashboard, or even a static tile link that takes them off to a resource on your intranet just for staff, so they could use that when they're on the the internal network. there's lots that you could do with that. But I've blabbered on. The reason why I've mentioned this is, how do you actually switch this on in features, Sarah? Because not everyone knows about it.
Yeah, so anything that comes out that's can be controlled as a feature as a customer, not as in part of the actual makeup of myday. If you go into features here, they'll always appear at the top here. So we have this collapsible sidebar. So I don't know if anyone's noticed that. You can now also open and close that, and that is just through. If I disable that here and I reload, it's disappeared, and it quickly enable it again, and you can have a sidebar that disappears, and that's where the navigation bar is. Also, if you did want to find out as an admin what features are coming up, we always put our latest release notes in the help center, so you can see what's coming out, what new features might be there, so you'll know, you know, what month they're coming out, that they're going to actually appear as a new feature in the features menu. So that's just in advanced and in features. So yeah, there's, you know, we'll always tell you what's coming out, and we'll leave you to control whether you choose to have them or not.
Brilliant. Brilliant stuff. Thanks very much, Sarah.
No worries.
Okay, so Q&A.
Stop sharing.
Nothing coming in so far. Does anyone, can I share? It looks like if there is a customer who wants to, I can switch on their, you know, their microphone or presentation if you wanted to ask a question rather than type. Anyone have any questions on what you've seen from Sarah today? Must be somebody. Or perhaps you just want to go and try those out. There was one of those things that you did, Sarah, when you terminated a user session, just to make it clear to everyone, that was the user management tile. Yes. And not the identity management tile, because some of you here that I can see have joined us today, you have been used to using the identity management tile for a while. The user management tile does lots of similar things that the identity management tile does. However, there are some exclusive features, and one of those there is terminating a user session in the user management tile.
Yeah.
No questions through yet? No, yeah. Okay, well, some other news is you will all, hopefully, be aware that we were acquired by Ready Education in North America, Canada, and this is probably the final webinar where you'll be seeing the Collabco branding. So internally, there's lots of changes happening. We're trying to run those through as smoothly as possible, not to have any impact on our customers, because from a customer standpoint, there is going to be, you know, there's going to be no effect or negative effect on your daily operations and running our software. But you know, for now, there is no plans for that. You'll be told in good time through different official channels about that. But what is going to be happening is we're all moving to the @readyeducation.com email domain by the end of the month. So from the 31st of August and onwards, you will receive, for instance, from me, your emails from me will be from phil.chatterton@readyeducation.com rather than the @collabco.com email. So you will see that change coming. Please, if you do have strict email filters, please do make sure you've added @readyeducation.com to your whitelisting. Yeah, so there's some branding changes. So remember, it is from the myday vendor. When you see those things come through, it is the branding that's part of the new Ready Education sort of umbrella and parent group. And it looks like Rachel, our marketing manager, has put in something in the chat here. Yeah, so Rachel, you're asking if, you know, some of the customers on this webinar, they might have come to the older ones. If you feel like we need a recap of anything we've already done, maybe you wanted a full session on maps and targeting groups to maps, or you want to do more on the calendar, or any other of those topics, absolutely fine. Suggest them, just send us an email to customer success @collabco.com. It will forward to the new address. That's fine if you have that at the moment. And we will run a webinar on that. But there is some new features coming out with the product team that we will try and prioritize, showcasing new features that our product team have been working hard on, and prioritize those in a webinar for you as well. there'll be the next webinar will be in September as well. So keep your your inbox ready to see that email come in. No other questions so far. A customer's just joined. We're just about to finish, but we've done Sarah's 10 top 10 features. This is recorded, so we'll post this on our YouTube channel, and we'll also send out the link. I think Rachel will send out the link to everyone who's attended and registered for the full show, so you'll be able to see that. Any other questions want to be asked in the last minute? No? Okay, if you think, oh, there was something to ask, but I forgot to ask in the webinar at that point, just send me, Sarah, or the customer success inbox the question, no problem at all, and we'll run through whatever you might need an answer with. Okay. All right, well done, Sarah. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brilliant
Thanks,
stuff.
everyone.
And thank you, everybody. Oh, Kevin is typing. Okay, no problem.
You too, Kev.
Great to see you. Thanks for joining. Claire is typing. No problem, Claire. Thanks for coming along. So we run these every month. So please do come along to our webinars. Some are longer than others. This is more of a, because there's holidays, this is more of a quick fire one. Kevin just typed another message, I think. Maybe not now, not sure. Kevin, I think I'm going to speak to you later. So if you've got any questions on this one, then I'll speak to you in that channel, I guess. Okay, we'll finish this and we'll get the recording shipped out as soon as we can. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.